Welcome to Deep Journal. In order not to miss the latest developments and exclusive reports on the war being carried out by Israel, you can subscribe to our channel. In the Gaza Strip, hostage deals and the flow of humanitarian aid in and out of the Strip have eased some of the clashes in the war between the Israeli army and the Hamas terrorist organization. With the first hostage round coming from Rafah and the second from the West Bank, the Israeli army has once again taken action to prevent Hamas terrorist activities in the Gaza Strip. It was determined that the terrorist organization was once again making critical preparations in underground tunnels in the Gaza Strip, especially during the hostage crisis. After a period of stagnation, IDF forces launched a major operation in which they used new war tactics to trap and destroy Hamas in its tunnel lines in Gaza. As part of the IDF's ground offensive in the southern Gaza settlements of Beit Hanun, Beit Lahia, Jabalia, Al-Shati Camp, and Zaytun, it was reported that a large number of Hamas terror tunnel lines have been uncovered in recent days. After surrounding Jabalia, the IDF destroyed dozens of tunnel shafts and destroyed a large number of Hamas headquarters and ammunition. In Al-Shati Camp, IDF troops destroyed Hamas tunnel lines, weapons depots, and terror camps. In Zaytun, IDF forces sealed and destroyed Hamas tunnel networks built underground in public areas. The Israel Defense Forces reported that since the start of the ground offensive last month, soldiers have uncovered and destroyed approximately 400 tunnel shafts in the Gaza Strip. Troops from the elite Yahalom Combat Engineering Unit played an important role in the destruction of Hamas tunnels. The Hamas terrorist organization's tunnel entrances were found deep within civilian infrastructure, including residential buildings, schools, hospitals, and other areas. For this reason, the IDF accused Hamas of using the Palestinian population of Gaza as human shields by deliberately placing its infrastructure in the civilian environment. But all of these operations, the discovery and destruction of Hamas's underground tunnels, were merely preliminary scenarios for a new war strategy that the IDF has been conducting. In fact, it was recently revealed that the IDF has been flooding Hamas terror tunnels in the Gaza Strip with seawater as part of its new war tactics. In a video released by the IDF military units, Israeli soldiers were seen drawing water from the sea by passing long water pipes through the entrance points of Hamas's underground tunnel lines. The water from the sea was transferred to the tunnel lines through these pipes, and the underground tunnels began to be flooded. The IDF launched this ingenious strategy against the most important tunnel lines in Gaza, where the so-called leadership of the Hamas terrorist organization is located. The seawater flowing through the pipes is presumably destroying the underground headquarters, weapons depots, and access roads that currently house Hamas's top terror commanders. Through this method, the IDF aims to replace the Hamas terrorist organization's underground tunnel lines in Gaza with underwater tunnels. This striking tactic was unexpected by Hamas and caught the terrorist organization off guard. In particular, this strategy has put a major dent in Hamas's efforts to flee to the south of the Gaza Strip, at a critical time when the IDF is trying to penetrate the center of Gaza from the north. The Hamas terrorist organization is finding it very difficult to transfer its so-called leaders and commanders to the south of Gaza due to the IDF's seawater flooding of the underground tunnel lines. So what will happen to Hamas in these underground passages as the seawater moves through the tunnel lines? After the release of all the hostages, the IDF will probably use this ingenious strategy in all the terror tunnels in the Gaza Strip. This is the most effective way to bring Hamas terrorists out of the underground and onto the surface. But for this method to be used freely throughout the Strip, all of the hostages currently held by Hamas must be released. This is because Hamas's tunnel network in the Gaza Strip consists of 2 layers, one of which contains the hostages. Even if the IDF does not carry out its strategy of flooding the tunnels with seawater in the layer where the hostages are located, it is possible that the Hamas terrorist organization will use this as a black propaganda tool and force the hostages into these areas. Therefore, the IDF needs to explore all of these underground passages, called tactical and strategic tunnel lines, and find out exactly where the hostages are being held. The IDF seawater strategy is alleged to have occurred in Hamas's tactical tunnels, which are located about 15 to 20 meters underground. Here, mostly Hamas munitions, so-called commanders and leaders, are constantly on the move. In the strategic tunnel infrastructure, there are people held hostage by Hamas. It is known that Hamas's so-called leaders and commanders are also located in these tunnels. The IDF's work also includes the fact that the strategic tunnel network contains Hamas's main headquarters, where it prepares and carries out its terrorist activities. In addition, the IDF predicts that the so-called commanders and leaders of Hamas may try to escape to the south of Gaza through tactical tunnel networks. For this reason, the Israeli army has decided to launch a strategy of flooding the tunnel lines with seawater from the southern side of Gaza, as well as a comprehensive ground offensive in this area, just like in the north. In other words, the IDF is doing everything in its power to destroy Hamas in almost every part of the Gaza Strip and to normalize life in the Strip. The fact that plans for a ground offensive in the south have resurfaced after the hostage crisis was overcome has seriously worried Hamas. The IDF may therefore use the option of delaying its efforts to reach the center from southern Gaza. In fact, the Israeli army has already announced that all preparations for such an attempt have been made, and that IDF troops are on high alert in southern Gaza. For such a ground offensive, it is clear that Khan Yunis is the first enclave in southern Gaza that Israel should concentrate on. This is where Hamas terror tunnels, additional headquarters, and residences of its so-called leaders are known to be located. In other words, Hamas probably planned for defeat before launching missile attacks as part of its terrorist activities against Israel, and had already established a terrorist organization in the south of the Strip in case the IDF advanced from the north of Gaza into its center. Therefore, since the first stage of the IDF forces' plans, i.e., the attempt to reach the center of Gaza from the north, has been successful, Hamas has begun to operate in the south of the Strip, particularly in Khan Yunis. In the coming days, IDF forces will therefore urgently need to intervene in the southern lines of the Strip and clear them of terrorist elements. So what is the best route for Israel to take to reach Khan Yunis and clear southern Gaza? In order to reach Khan Yunis, the Israeli military units will first need to reach Kirbat Iksaz through settlements such as Nirim and Nir Oz. Here, the Israeli army will be met by settlements such as Kuzaz and Abbasan al-Kabira. Israel will then cross the suburbs of Abbasan al-Jadida and the streets of Bani Suhaila to reach Khan Yunis. Such a ground offensive route could lead the IDF to victory in southern Gaza and disrupt the smuggling of munitions and terrorist activities Hamas is attempting to carry out between Khan Yunis and Rafah. In short, in addition to flooding tunnel lines with seawater in the north and center of Gaza, and cornering the so-called leaders and commanders of the Hamas terrorist organization, Israel will need to do the same in the south of the Strip. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and click the Super Thanks button below in order not to miss the most up-to-date videos prepared by our team with the latest developments on the front lines and exclusive reports on the war being carried out by Israel and all the conflicts in the Middle East.